Hey guys, it's BD from bdoneyewear.com, my website where I offer free eyewear styling, articles on optometry and eyewear, and also where you can shop eyewear. So in this video, I'm going to talk about being a locum, my experience as a locum. I did a video earlier about all the jobs that I've done within optometry so far, and one of those jobs was being a locum. So I thought I'd just go into details about the pros and the cons, the things I like and don't like about locum life. So first of all, what is a locum? A locum is kind of like a contractor. You kind of just go and work when they need you, and then you don't work there all the time, or you can, it just depends. So essentially you're self-employed, you're not employed by wherever you're working, you're self-employed, and they kind of like hire you for whatever time period that they need, right? So I've locumed in multiple, so those are like more prominent stores, they've got loads of branches everywhere, and I've also locumed in independents, a couple of independents actually, and there's pros and cons to each. There's differences in working in both of them, but for this video, I'm going to primarily focus on the pros and cons of being a locum in general. So pros, I think the most obvious pro is you can work when you want to. Because you are contracted, because you are self-employed, you choose the shifts that you want to take. So if they want you to work on a Saturday and you don't want to work on a Saturday, then you just don't take that shift. You would just take a shift on a Monday or whatever it is. If you want to work 3 days a week, then you can just find shifts for 3 days. If you want to work 7 days a week, then you just need to get shifts for those 7 days. But you're not contracted to specific hours as if you were employed. You just work whenever you want to work. So there's freedom in that. Do you know what I mean? If you want to go on holiday, then you just don't work on the Friday or the Monday, and then you can book shifts afterwards. Do you see what I mean? You don't have to ask for permission to see if you can get your holidays approved, you know? Another good thing about being a locum is that if you don't like the place that you worked, you just don't work there again. So if you work somewhere and you hate the manager, that's your manager for 5 days every week. So you can't really escape that unless the manager leaves or whatever. When you're a locum, you can go to a place and say, I'm never coming back here again, and then just never go back there again. This only happens to me actually with one store that I worked at. I was like, never, I don't care if I have no money, I'm never coming back here. So again, you can decide that for yourself. It's also pretty good if you haven't worked for a multiple before, you kind of want to see how the system works, then you can do a locum day there, and then maybe if you get an offer from there or that same company elsewhere, you have an idea of what the system is like. That's another pro actually, because you are locuming and you're in different places, you're aware of how loads of systems work. You're able to adapt and work quickly because you're not in the same room every day, you know. It's good. I liked that. It kind of made things interesting. You don't know exactly who you're going to be working with, you don't know exactly what equipment they're going to have, but you learn to adapt pretty quickly and you get good at using loads of different things. So that's a pro in my opinion. Yeah, so those are the pros. Any more pros, leave them down below. The cons, however, so with locum work, you can work when you want, but that work is not guaranteed. And I think that COVID did a great job of showing people that, because that whole time where there was like lockdown and nothing was happening, anyone who locums, especially if you locum full time, there's like no income for that amount of time, at least not from locum work. So when you're employed, you can be furloughed. When you're self-employed, I don't think you can. I think there was like a scheme that they did for self-employed people, but either way, like, it's different. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're employed, there's a bit more security, there's a bit more stability with that role. Cons with locuming, it's almost like the opposite to the pro. You're not really used to where you're working. You don't know where you're going to be working. You don't know what the parking is going to be like. You don't know how long your lunch break is going to be. You don't know if you're going to like the slit lamp, if the chair's going to be high enough. There's loads of variables, which can be exciting. It can kind of be like, oh, okay, let's see what we have today. But it can also be a bit rubbish, like, okay, yeah, I would rather not work here in this kind of place. Whereas when you're employed, you know exactly what your room is like. You know that what you left was there the night before. You come back, your vault lens is exactly where it was. You know everything and how the store works. So that can be that could be a con of being a locum. Another con is that some places, this is not everywhere, but some places can be quite shady to locums. I've worked in places where they'll have a rolling clinic. So a rolling clinic is basically, you just take the next patient. So if it takes me 20 minutes and it takes you 15 minutes, then you kind of pick up the slack. If the next one then takes me 10 minutes and it oh Lord, 10 minutes. If the next one then takes me 15 minutes and yours takes 25, then, you know, you just kind of pick up everyone else's slack. So it's kind of good in terms of just getting patients seen, you know, it's a rolling clinic. Some places that I've worked, the locum will be somewhere else. So the locum will have, like, I will have my own clinic, and then the other optoms, the resident optoms, will have a rolling clinic, which is just kind of like, why would you do this? If I'm running behind, then it's all on me. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I always thought that's quite shady. And sometimes they are quite shady. Like sometimes they will they'll give you like the worst room, or you know, if there's like a tricky patient or something, they'll make sure that you see that patient. Like sometimes it's shady. I don't know, it's not all the time, it's not everywhere, but I've worked at some places where I'm like, it's because I'm the locum that you're doing this. You're treating your residents like kings and queens, but whatever. Another con would be what would the con be? Sometimes I think because you're a locum and they're paying you a locum rate, right, they expect more from you in terms of conversion. Like conversion being how, like what percentage of people you see by glasses. So the higher your conversion rate, the better that it is for the business. So I think sometimes when you're a locum, they want to see that your conversion rate is higher, and you know, like you were worth the money, kind of. Yeah. Oh, another pro is that you get paid better than if you were a resident. However, the con of that is like the whole tax stuff. That's just long. So that's a major con. I'm trying to think, what are the pros and cons of locum life? When you're a locum, you need your own equipment. So not like bringing a slit lamp with you, but you know, it's good to have your ophthalmoscope, your retinoscope, your flippers, like just stuff that you would have, you can take to everywhere. So you know, if worst comes to worst, I can use my stuff and I can be fine. So it's good to have that. You can also, when you can locum regularly. So there was a place that I worked and I would locum there twice a week, every week without fail. If I couldn't do a day, or if they didn't need a day, then they would let me know. I think those are the best kind of locum situations. When I was doing my masters in Manchester, it was very sporadic. Like if I could get a day, I'd get it and I would just book it. I never used to cancel locum days because I always felt like that's a bit rude. Do you know what I mean? Like you've committed yourself to work that day. Like just because you don't feel like it doesn't mean you should cancel. But one time I think one store cancelled on me. I think that's only ever happened once. Yeah, it doesn't really happen that often. Also, if you get a good rapport, so I've locumed somewhere where I got it from an agency, and then we got on, we liked each other, and so I just gave them my number, and then they would just text me directly if they wanted me to locum for them. So that kind of cuts out the middleman when it comes to the whole like trying to find shifts. And that's another con actually. Like it depends on like, you know, how you get your locum shifts, but sometimes you can like sign up to these agencies, they'll send out these like mass emails, and then people will respond, oh yeah, I want it, and if you are too late, then you miss out on a shift, which if you have responsibilities and things, like that's a bit peak, because rent have to get paid, do you know what I mean, mortgage have to get paid. So yeah, that's a con. But overall I think it's something that it's good to try. Do you know what I mean? It's good to try. It's good to have in terms of experience. Like I said before, like when you locum and you locum in different places, it makes you more flexible. It makes you more adaptive to different environments. But it's just an option. You don't have to ever locum. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to ever be fully employed. You can do whatever you want within optometry. It's just to show you that that is an option. There are alternatives to just being in the same place all the time. So yeah, I hope this video has been helpful. Any questions, any comments, leave them down below. Follow me on Instagram at bdoneyewear, and check out bdoneyewear.com. Subscribe to the channel, of course. Guys, thanks. Yeah, please, if you do that, that'll make my day. And I'll see you in the next video.